All right, you're alive. I'll try not to be speaking as much in this live, so I'll be muted. But definitely try to turn up the volume a lot more. I'll probably do that like right now so that people can hear like them talking. Appreciate the likes. Appreciate the likes. Remember, guys, go on Twitch. They're live. There's drops right now that are live. What I'm gonna do, unless the chat is moving, probably talk, but it's probably gonna be limited talking. I am gonna do a separate video. Let me turn this down a little bit. I am gonna do a separate video, kind of like going over their stream when it's posted on YouTube, and then I'll kind of like give my like thoughts on like should they do this, why are they doing this, kind of like all that stuff. But other than that, we're just kind of like just hanging out as a community together and doing the watch party. All right, looks like they're about to start too. So here you go.
Hi, captains. Welcome back to the deck. We are live. It's time for the next deck. How are you doing? How's the chat doing? I see some people are staying up quite late. Very grateful for it. I hope you're gonna have a great time with us today. So it's been around 3 weeks since the launch of Year 3 Season 1, and we've been closely following your feedback, gameplay data, and community discussions on the various social platforms. And we've seen very strong engagement around the builds, the skill tree, but we also know that there are some friction points, some feedback that has to be addressed. So today's stream is all about that. It's going to be a quite chill stream where we're going to play a game, we're going to talk about the Year 3 season launch, the feedback that we've got, and also answer your questions. As usual, we've pre-collected some questions on Reddit and Discord. So first we're going to go through those, and then we're going to go take some questions from the chat as well. And to help me with that, as usual, I have Neo helping us with the gameplay today. Hi, Neo.
Hello, captains.
How are you doing today?
Doing good, as always.
How was Year 3 Season 1 so far for you?
I'm enjoying it.
Great. All right, and before we dive into the all the questions, I want to introduce you another guest today that I have to answer your questions, and it is Samuel Quack.
Hello.
Hi.
Everyone.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing great. Been very excited to see the response since the season drop. And wow, you guys are really surprising me with all the various builds that you have made and all the shots that you have made, especially with everyone who's gotten so fast to the Galleon. I'm glad that you all really enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right, chat. How are we doing? The drops should be working. Just let me know if all good with the drops, with the sound, with the picture that you see,
Yes,
and if
go
all
to
good,
Ubisoft on
we
Twitch
dive
to get the drops,
straight
guys.
into it. People are already talking about asking about the cheese. How was Year 3 Season 1 so far for you? Let us know in the chat while we are answering your questions. But before we dive in, Sam, I want to ask, so the Year 3 Season 1 dropped, the team has shipped it. How do you feel about it, seeing the engagement with the builds, with the new content? What's your perspective on it?
So we knew that we put all in a lot of work, and everybody really chipped in very hard to make sure that we could get seasonal mastery and that whole new power progression and all that new ways to actually expand on what you can do with your weapons and mix and match the perks. And we were like, okay, let it work, and then when we see players coming in with the corpse explosion builds, how they can squeeze out that extra bit to make it work, and being able to find the content where it works the best, being able to reach the Galleon, and a lot of experimentation going on with that. It was really reassuring, and it was a huge sigh of relief from everyone, where people have a lot of fun with them, and they get discussions going on, and it's just the beginning, right? It's just the beginning, and we are actually even more hyped up and psyched to continue building more and more content ahead.
Yeah, and actually, I think like after the season launch, it's been like we've seen the most amount of posts when it comes to builds shares, and I think that's like an early sign that we are moving into the right direction with the core of the naval battle. But was there any build that like really surprised that you like, oh, okay, you were like, okay, I didn't expect that?
So we were wondering, like, okay, we know that there's a potential that you can really squeeze a lot of damage out from a single mortar shot, if you players actually want to leverage on with Battle Medic,
Yeah.
where they can actually buff the other weapons by taking on other repair weapons. But we're like, okay, is that viable? And then players really showed us that it works, and we're glad because we know that we're launching the season together with the Honorless, and the Honorless is also always been built to be a very rewarding experience where you get to fight ships, and then there's a lot of things happening, but at the same time extremely rewarding. And we at first we were worried like, oh no, will it take too long for players to reach World Tier 3 and 4 at the beginning? But we're glad that players actually managed to clear it and go up. We didn't want the new seasonal mastery to feel like a drag. Like, oh no, like every season you have this long warm up before you start feeling the builds that you can create. So very thankfully, it didn't. Players were very quickly, and they actually got into the groove of it very quickly, and then they start seeing an effect from the early levels of the mastery on. So I think that's kind of where we actually want players to have, where every time a season starts, you can already start to have fun. You don't need to wait for hours and hours of grind before you actually see any output of the work that you put in.
Right. All right. I see there's Captain GTI in the chat, and actually I want to mention that he is having his Twitch Drops campaign, I think from May 26th to June 9th. So make sure to go on his channel to watch his stream and to get the Twitch Drops. And there's a question to Neo from Captain GTI. Neo, he's asking if it's his Gatlin gun build.
That's correct. It's awesome.
Here you go, Captain GTI. You got your answer. All right. Okay, I think it's time to move on to the questions that we've pre-collected. So as we've said that the one of the strongest positive signals we've seen since launch was the build crafting, the theory crafting. We've seen the community experimenting with a lot of different weapons, synergies, and builds. And there were quite some questions regarding the seasonal tree actually. And to start with the first one, one thing that we've seen also that like we did have veterans who would unlock the level 80 quite fast. And then we have another question here in the chat, in the pre-collected one, asking any possibility in making getting mastery level 80 just a little more easier. I'm at level 50 and it's taking a lot more time than I thought.
It actually
I think
is
it's also a
easy.
good
I put out a
kind of
video
question to
about
touch
it.
on the
It's actually
balancing
easy.
aspect of the seasonal tree,
It
right?
just takes. It's just repetitive. That's all.
There's a few things that we are looking at when we are approaching progression for seasonal mastery, where of course one of the things primary is how much infamy is required to reach 80. Where does the curve is maybe too steep, steeper than we projected, based on players' progression, right? So maybe we have right now. We actually want the curve to follow along with players progress up to World Tier 4, where the infamy they gain and the time they take to clear the events there comfortably is a bit too steep still. So we are looking to properly work out all of these friction points within the progression experience. Another thing that we're also actively balancing on as well is that the XP that is given by elite warships on World Tier 4 is still not matching up to the amount of time and effort taken. So those are all points that we are continuing to make balance on. And of course, we also looked at other ways rather than just the leveling directly. So for example, in future seasons, if you ended the previous season with a higher mastery level, you get a bit of a jump start. You start at a slightly higher level, so you have to start from level 1 and go through it all again. So we are approaching this with multiple ways to smooth out the experience. It's not one and done. So we are always constantly looking at the experience and also seeing how fast players want to jump into World Tier 4. And to make sure that the whole experience is smooth all the way up.
Moving to the next question, I think you briefly mentioned that just now. But the player is asking, any chance of increasing the amount of skill tree XP gained or reduce the requirement for each?
So as mentioned previously, we are looking at the XP required to level mastery. In addition, we are also looking at a few other ways for players to obtain mastery points outside of just leveling. So that's coming in future seasons, so where there's also some activities or gameplay that players can do to get the mastery points as well. Instead of just relying on, oh, I don't care about what content I'm doing, it's just about the XP, right? So as the year goes on, all of these are being worked on. So we don't want players to feel that mastery becomes another mechanism just to force players to grind. The key intent on mastery is to provide a fun progression and the power building over a season. So once we can have more ways to allow players to progress, we're definitely gonna add them into the game. Yeah.
Cool. The next question is, could there be another branch added for mending weapons?
So yes, with regards to the mastery nodes themselves, right now, um, ending weapons are in a bit of a interesting spot. But this is also partly linked to something which I will cover a little bit later, pertaining to the future of combat in the game. But yes, there is a lot of work looking into which parts of the tree do we want to tweak, which new branches can we add on. So mending is one of the things that we have looked at, but we need to make sure that it's also done in a way that is supported by the gameplay within the game, that it makes sense for players.
Got it. So, okay, moving to the next question. Any plans to update the seasonal mastery? For example, not resetting it every season, make it quicker to gain level. Maybe double the points gained towards mastery levels, as it's quite grind at the moment.
Yep. So one of the key reasons why we actually have a reset also is part of how we do not want to just introduce a very permanent power creep and just endless increasing of enemy levels within the game. And of course, we don't want to just change like the seasonal gameplay activities just by making numbers bigger, right? Because if that's the case, we can always go from, hey, mastery 80, let's go to mastery 120. So that also means that new players who come in have a lot more to catch up, and it's we don't think that that's really the most ideal way. When we start a new season, we also have new seasonal fixes that are introduced into the game. So that's why we don't want to keep bloating the number of permanent affixes in the game, but we also want players to play and learn how they work, and instead of jumping straight away into the fire, is more of a very smooth understanding and interaction with these new affixes, and then they can think about, okay, if the affixes work this way, maybe my build is gonna change in a slightly different way as I play and I level up my mastery again. I am actually putting the growth of the tree in that way. Hey, that perk may be something that I want to consider to play differently this time round, things like that. So if we don't reset it and we just keep floating it, it might go up to a point that every season when you start to reset the tree and you have to allocate more and more points at the start of every season. Not sure if that is gonna be the best way to get into what is the new mechanics, and actually without like creating this endless power creep chase with just ever increasing enemy levels.
Before we move on to the next couple of questions, I think before we kind of wrap up the seasonal tree section, I want to ask the chat the questions. I think you can start putting your questions regarding the seasonal tree now, and then we can pick questions as much as we can after we finish answering the pre-collected ones. So it's your time now. Okay, let's move to the next question, which is about the major nodes in the mastery tree this season. So the question is, any chance for any change to a few of the major nodes in the mastery tree this season, such as bugs and quality of life changes, seeing that not many people use the final three after reaching level 60?
So one of the things that we also definitely bug fixes are coming. Anything that's not working as intended, we will always do our best to respond to them and fix them as quickly as possible. In fact, we also notice some unintended bugs and effects related to fixes where sometimes it doesn't register or the number of RAMs required to deal with the armored affix. So there are some edge cases where it might bug out, and then that creates a increased friction on top of we know the armored affix is a bit has a divided opinion right now. We are actually learning from what is causing the issue. Is that what we have? We see that some players actually understood that, hey, sometimes we need some of these things that increase the challenge on the enemies, but there's a solution for them, right? But at the same time, we notice that there is a very weird edge case where the affix got harder than it needed to be. So we're addressing that quickly as well. Regarding the level 60 perks, we are trying to understand maybe some of the descriptions maybe doesn't fully explain the strength of that perk very well. For example, one of the perks actually synergizes quite well with mending weapons. That it actually counts it towards building the damage that it's meant to have. But we'll look at it. Hopefully, players can find and manage to make these perks shine. But part of the fun of the whole seasonal perks is each season we always have the opportunity to, okay, that didn't work as well. But we're definitely gonna make it better, each time. So yes, KOLs, we will see where we can put them in. Some of them take a bit more time. Bugs is always high priority for us. Regarding the design of the perks, the functions of them, we definitely need to take in the feedback, but we don't want to do it as a very reactive change just within a season itself, right? Yeah.
I need my electric
Okay.
medium-sized ship though.
The next question that I
Like
think is
today.
the last question from the pre-collected one, and we'll move to the chat questions. Is there any thought of increasing the level cap? We're currently at level 30, but could we go beyond that with, for example, world levels or something similar to the division?
So this is there's two parts to this question. One part is that linked to what we're trying to improve on the game itself. Is we understand that the ship rank, the SR cap right now, is not in a very good spot. It is our game has evolved quite a lot more, and that is right now acting as players mentioned as a sort of a limiter on that. So we are actually wanting to move forwards to actually fix and improve that. And once it's been done, it will not act as an arbitrary cap that we're placing on players. And also at the same time with world levels, it's not to say that there will not be more coming. It's just that we want to make sure that we don't just raise it for the sake of creating more
Right.
levels,
Let
and
them
then
cook for a little bit.
when
Just
we
let
are
'em cook.
fixing some of the or not, I wouldn't say fix, when we're trying to improve and to make sure that the game has a lot more systems and has a better combat that actually helps progression, that we have a lot more to retroactively go back and fix. It's coming
What do you mean double
soon.
speak? Like an echo?
But we want to do meaningful changes and improvements, rather than just trying to, okay, this is a patchwork way to just let's add more layers, and the level keeps going up. But will players actually enjoy just that level going up if that system itself is a bit restrictive in a way?
Okay. Now I wanna
Oh, okay, I see
go
what you're
and
saying.
see some of the
Like
questions from the
almost like
chat. I
dancing
think the
around
first
the
one that we've
question.
seen and we've already talked about it before in the streams. It's about the mastery loadouts. I think one of the major feedback that we got from the insider program before the season launch is that this seasonal tree has to launch with the mastery loadout to make it easier, right? Like more convenient to do your builds. Any estimate for mastery loadout and any details you can share on the progress of it for now?
Season 2.
Season 2. When is season 2? Can we say? But any reason?
Yeah, sometime in
I think
August.
it's
I mean,
important to kind of give a context why it wasn't
scheduled,
possible
like,
to launch
timer. How
seasonal
many
tree with
days?
the mastery loadout at the same time.
So there was quite a lot of overheads on a lot of various parts of UI within the game.
Yeah, they talked
and
about that,
Some
covering,
of the
looking at it.
the issues
We'll see what happens. What
we
they do.
needed to fix first in a lot of UI. We're actually also working very hard on doing mod transfers for S2. So all of this are kind of fighting for attention at the same time. And we did our best to reduce the friction on mastery loadouts by having a more flexible way of resetting either the whole tree or a point of the node where it just refunds backwards. And also before Combat 2.0 came in, I think a lot of players will also agree that right now, all the branches that we have, there's still a few branches that are particularly more heavily favored. So all of this is one thing that maybe like we think that we after a lot of playtests we did realize that okay, mastery loadouts will help a fair bit with being able to experiment more, but we don't want to delay letting players have their hands on because we really had a lot of fun with the seasonal mastery. So we really just focused on getting this to players to play with it first. So it is intended decision to ship it without the mastery loadout. We know that this is not the best
Ideal experience,
QOL experience for players, but we were really that excited to make sure that hey, like we know that we need it, but we think players would really love this. So I hope all our captains here still can have fun with the mastery and understand and don't pitchfork us too hard for this.
Yeah, season 2, Master Loadout is coming. So the next, it's actually, there are 2 questions about it, but I think we've seen a lot in pre-collected questions as well, is about balancing PvP in the open world, right, with the skill tree. So the question is from the chat, Memphis Jones asking, will anything be done to an open world PvP? So one shot kills players now. Another question is, can Mastery Tree can be removed in PvP world for the balance?
So open world PvP.
That's a
is
good question.
topic that we
Especially in
are
the PvP servers,
tackling,
master
via
skill tree
variety of
needs to be
ways.
removed.
One of which, yes, is via balancing, as well as the combat improvements. Combat 2.0 will actually be a huge rebalance to combat and even the feel and pacing of combat as well. So PvP damage is one of the things that will be looked at, as well as further down the year as well. We're also looking into the whole concept of what does PvP on the open seas mean, right? So we know that right now it seems that PvP is often very forgotten, but I really want all our captains to know that we are looking at it, but we really need some steps to be done first that will actually also address both like PvP combat, but then we are looking beyond that to even PvP activity, not just balancing the numbers to make sure there's no one-shot kills. Like that is a must, and then once we have that as well, PvP activities will be coming, which I really hope I can share with players in the future, but we have a lot of things being planned and tested. We are already doing our testing in our builds as well.
I think that I see a couple of mentions in the chat about PvP world tier. Can we say anything on that?
Stay tuned.
Okay. Let me see if there are any more questions regarding the seasonal tree. There's quite some questions. We might not be able to get a lot of them. I see there's one, it's not really about seasonal tree, but asking about hook hand. I think the question comes after we, I think, showed some of the cosmetics for year 3. So it is coming, but we need to double check which season. Do you know?
Uh,
We need to ask John.
Stay
I-
tuned. That's what he's gonna
I
say.
have the schedule somewhere, but I can't recall right now. But
I need that Corvette
It's
scan,
definitely
bro.
coming.
I need it. I need it.
All right. Okay, so I think we can move to the next section. And for that one, I really wanted you to give more context and details about Combat 2.0. We've already mentioned Combat 2.0 in our last stream, in our developer AMA array. But Sam, if you give us more information on what it is and why the team is working on that.
okay, yeah. So Combat 2.0 has a few major facets that touches on combat to resolve a few not to improve and deepen on a few core mechanics within the game. So quite frankly, one of the things that we have encountered a lot of limitations with, as well as we feel that after we have the mastery and how we want players to explore more and more different ways to play to kill enemies, that is how elements, secondary damage and statuses work within the game. We have an over reliance on the base weapon damage, which actually is considered as a physical damage, right? So it's actually kind of like an element of its own. So we have physical damage itself, which is reduced by, or rather, the defense against it is via ship armor. And then we have elemental damages on weapons that are added based on a percentage of the base weapon itself, which means that no matter how we go, there is always the primary focus with just increasing base weapon damage. So that also means that, like, hey, does it make sense for enemies to, with different types of armor and elemental resistances? It doesn't work out because we always need to have a lot of physical, like a standard base level of physical armor, because weapons always do physical damage, and then elemental damage being a percentage of base weapon damages always have a much lower value in terms of the proportion of all the damage that's being built. So when it comes down to that, then when we look at the players' playstyles to be able to increase the different damage types that they have, increasing 10% of your base weapon damage immediately can result in a lot more value than 10% of secondary damage, because the amount of secondary damage is always way lesser. So those ends up creating a lot of like fixed paths and upgrades that players always need. So that also affects like the variety or differentiation between weapons. Another thing that also can become tricky is how status effects are very tied to the type of damage that you're dealing. So one thing that comes out is as a side effect is players are setting enemies ablaze, stormstruck and things, just by a fact that ascended weapons have multiple elements. It's just treated as additional chip damage. Is it really an actual meaningful build? Can I create a very evil flamethrower build that is about setting players on fire and they just burn to death? Like right now, doesn't really seem to be something that is strong. So with that, there's also a very interesting aspect that, because elemental damages are low, enemies having high resistances to them do not have as much of an impact, because players are always still dealing a lot of physical damage. So at the most they're just losing maybe
I'm gonna have to put my
20%
2070
of
in
their
my
damage,
stream PC.
25%, 30% of the
stream
damage,
PC is,
even
like,
if
struggling.
the enemy has
can
a
see it.
full high resistance against toxic, for example. So that's kind of a issue. So we also know that, like, hey, we built ships like the Sambuc, where it's all about, fire, explosions, but then, the amount of impact that elemental damage has isn't high. So that's why we need to do a rework here on that, which will give us have more variety between the different weapon types that players have, and even within the weapon types themselves, players actually can see more meaningful choices between it. Yeah. Another part of weapon Combat 2.0, we're also looking into a path to actually make all the different ship sizes and specializations within ship classes to be better differentiated and usable as well, right? So we have a improvement going on, to be able to, like, hey, just because a large ship always has more gun ports doesn't mean that they definitely win in terms of weapon damage. That should not be the case. Small ships, they are nimble, they are fast, but they should be able to hit very hard if used correctly as well. We have so many ships in the game. We want all our captains to be able to find their favorite ship size and their favorite ship within the size as well. So that's why Combat 2.0 is coming. And one of the last points on Combat 2.0 is addressing the ship rank issue. Ship rank right now, we understand, is a very arbitrary number that is placed on on trying to rate gear, equipment, and ships in a way that has a correlation with how good it is, but it's still not very accurate. We want to move towards a power rating system where it actually reflects the actual performance of your loadout itself. So even if you put a furniture that doesn't actually help your weapons or your playstyle, it shouldn't be reflected in pushing a ship rank up, right? But at the same time, if you can synergize a build very well, you should also see it being reflected in the ship rank being higher, because what you're doing is working very well. So with that being done, it will no longer be up to how we have set a hard cap on what is the highest SR that, oh, you hit this number, you can't go any higher. The limit is really based upon how powerful players actually get. So that's kind of a really quick rundown of what we're trying to do with Combat 2.0, but there's a lot more to it. But these are some of the key points that I really want to share with everyone right now. I saw a issue about the limit on flares. Yes, that was kind of a bug that happened there. We are looking into being able to fix
That's
it.
a big one.
And yes, I'm very happy that everyone actually exhausted the flares.
Okay, going back to the Combat 2.0, is there any like time frame of when the team wants to be able to launch everything that is planned? Is it like year 3, or is it beyond year 3 also?
So a big portion of it for the whole feature to actually make an impact within the game itself, and it will also affect things like all the existing enemies that players engage with, as well as the pacing of combat. Because I think there's a lot of feedback about the pacing of combat. We had things being brought up like, hey, one-shot kills in PvP, some boss ships being excessively grindy, while some things being excessively easy. Combat is overly hectic. Once that we have raised this power level, everything is just happening at the same time. So all of this that we want to improve on with Combat 2.0 is something that we're aiming to release in year 3, but it doesn't mean that it's a one and done deal. We will have it, and then we will continue to work upon it, but the most important and meaningful changes will all be dropped together first.
Gotcha. All right. I think we can move to the set of next questions. And yes, these are now we're looking at the pre-collected
Yeah, it's
questions
going
on
over
Discord
to-
and Reddit. So the question about PvP, we've already took one from the chat, right? I think actually there were also questions about PvP in the open world in pre-collected ones. The next one is the difference in difficulty between World Tier 3 and World Tier 4 feels astronomical. Is it intended or is it something not properly balanced?
So it was
Yes, get into it.
intended that there will be a greater temperature
Mhm.
difference, and especially certain affixes, right? The way the affixes function actually don't change,
Mhm.
but the magnitude of how much they affect the enemy does increase. So that might result in a bigger feeling of difficulty spike because the stats of the ship didn't jump as much, but because the affixes that are on them are strengthened,
Mhm.
right? But affixes are also designed in a way that is a bit like a tactical impact. Like based on what affixes you face, you have to adjust the tactics and the approach that you use within that engagement itself, to be able to deal with them. World Tier 3, we still made it in a way that you can kind of brute force through it. You can just
Mhm.
overpower it. But that's where World Tier 4 starts to come in, and you can feel that okay, maybe just brute forcing through things might not always work.
Mhm.
Players need to actually be mindful of enemy affixes. And as a side note on that point, we are also looking into improving the visibility and readability of affixes, as well as how players should interact with them. But that combination is kind of what is causing more of the difficulty to feel steeper in World Tier 4.
Mhm.
Um, there might be some stats imbalances, but those are always being worked on as well. As mentioned, the numbers, the the power the
Mhm.
power value of different loadouts and things are always changing. So anything that is out of design will definitely be addressed. But World Tier 4 is supposed to really feel more challenging, but it's not more difficult unfairly.
Mhm. When it comes to World Tier, there are all a couple other
But you gotta
questions.
give
Yeah,
me
so the
the
next one
right
is
amount of
currently plunders
rewards
and world events
because of the
between the
difficulty,
world
though.
tiers drop very similar loot.
Or else
Are
I'm
there any
staying in
plans
World
to
Tier
better
3.
scale rewards with world tier difficulty?
So yes, there's two parts to this. One part is yes, the scaling will be looked at and adjusted. Where, as we mentioned, right, we are monitoring and we are actually making moves and to ensure that the effort put in is correlates with the output. And also another thing that we are working on, which is coming, which is one of our core focuses and promise for the rest of the year, is commitment to gameplay and content. Right, so there will be more um, content and gameplay that will be coming to World Tier 4 as well. So it's not just about increasing the values. Then in the end, it's not really fun, right? I'm just
Mhm.
getting more numbers of the same thing. We want to let players also have new activities that will appear only on higher world tiers, um, and they will be more difficult because players actually progress upwards. Then they learn their mastery of the game, and then they're ready for tougher
Mhm.
activities. So these activities will be only on the higher world tiers, and these activities will have new rewards that are unique. So it's not just a matter of I'm going up to a world tier just to grind bigger numbers of everything that I have, but at
Mhm.
the same time, I'm gonna be rewarded by being able to complete new activities with new rewards on the higher world tier.
Mhm. Gotcha. The next question is: some small ships feel heavily disadvantaged in World Tier 4. Are there any plans to rebalance them for higher world tiers?
Yes, so as mentioned, Combat
Yes.
2.0 is going to be looking at this, where it's not just about balancing them for higher world tiers, but at the same time, it's also making we're going to make sure that all these ships feel playable whichever world tier you're on, and they have their own unique play styles and advantages in.
Mm-hmm. Uh, There was one pre-collected question that we were about to answer at the end of the stream, but I see a lot of mentions in the chat now, so I think I'll bring it up now. Is regarding the treasure maps. So, are there plans to improve treasure maps? Right now, their rewards often don't feel worth the effort. Inventory limits are frustrating, and maps can quickly clutter the
I
sea
second that,
during
Stank.
the
I
boss
second that.
farming.
So treasure maps will be reworked on, but I cannot really commit to when the rework is coming. But I've seen a lot of discussion where there's a lot of feedback. They're like, okay, maybe we allow players to destroy them at sea, right? Because if we just take it away, then what if there are some players who actually don't mind, especially when we're just starting out. I realized that, hey, when I was starting
That's a
out,
W change, and I need that
because
I need to
I'm
download that
exploring
update
outposts.
like
At the same
today.
time, I have a treasure map. I'll get it, but it didn't really scale well up to, when players reach a lot of seasons in, the rewards from it isn't as much. So rewards are one thing that we need to look at it. I think like some of the QOL things we can definitely look towards first to allow players to discard them or at least destroy them so we don't flood their I'm guilty of one of the the scenes where treasure maps are just littered on the ocean floor and they're just not getting picked up. So those are things that we want to see how before we even get to the rework we can really start doing some changes to improve the experience with treasure maps, right?
There's
And
a question.
at the end I want to be clear, is not to say that it's not a priority, is that we have other features that we really want that will have a bigger impact on the game right now that we have to, time is finite. We really need to balance things out. We don't want to go to a point where we're just throwing things in and then players don't get the fun out of it as much. So sorry, we're working on it, but you'll come. Yeah.
All right. Moving to the next question. You've mentioned some of the Quality of Life updates, and there were a couple of questions regarding that. Are there any plans to redesign the Codex UI and add a dedicated bosses or enemies section?
Yes. So on this point as well, we have been looking at the introduction of a section for enemies and bosses in, but it will also be nice to get some feedback from what the community wants as well, right? Because is it that we just want to have something that focuses more on the combat elements of it, or would y'all be okay if we also add in some lore tidbits in, because we actually designed a lot of our enemies with a backstory or like some traits that actually are shared within the overall narrative of the game. I would really love to want to share some of this in the codex as well, but if the priority of what players actually need is more on just the combat, yeah. Yeah, but we are looking at it, but there's a lot of things that we can do with a section in the codex for enemies as well. Yeah, so please share more of what your wants with that with us, so we can also get that in.
The next question is, can we get studying sales, at least for Frigate and Corvette, or more penance, depending on how much contributing in Faction War, please?
Yes. So this is something that I had quite a lot of discussion with John about as well. So we have been looking into what we call dynamic customizations, where they actually change or reflect various gameplay aspects of the player. As a captain, there should be things that are indicative of what you have been doing and stuff like that. So we are looking into that. we are working on them. But I think what is being shared with us is good. Is understanding. It will be nice to look at contribution from Faction Wars, but we also want to look at more than just one type of achievements that players want to show off. So please share with us what you think would be the achievements that you wants to be reflected in customizations. And when it comes out, it will cover a variety rather than just being tied to showing faction wall contribution.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I saw the point about the pirate code killing captains. Yes, we are looking into this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next session will be more on the narrative side, and I see a comment from Mother Flame that more lore is always appreciated. There were a couple of questions regarding the narrative side of the game as well. So the first question, I think it was on Reddit. Has the idea of returning to the year one theme been considered when there is one villain person per season, with a narrative arc lasting a year? Will there be more pirate lores added in the future, or is this it?
That would be nice.
Okay, so we have added in a lot of our pirate lords in the game, and they all have very strong characters, personalities, and backstories, that we also actually want to continue to. That it's not even a want to continue. They are actually part of the whole long term story that we have. So as the seasons go on, we actually understand more about them. So we will not be just adding new villains or characters just to like hit a number every season. But that's not to say that we don't have new boss fights coming in, or new gameplay contents coming in as well. So all these are being done together in the framework where the story will progress. The whole year one theme that was also very strong with players was that there's a lot of story and progress being added as well. That is going to be maintained in year three as well, where they'll continue to actually follow along all the characters that are already on stage, continuing to expose more of why are they doing this, what are they really getting at, what are their interrelationships between each of them, because they're actually not just in their own little spaces, right? So all of this are actually going to be further revealed to players alongside with potentially new information about characters that maybe haven't been really seen before. But they are all there, and the year three story is actually leading to a lot of proper build up of what is going to happen in the Indian Ocean, why they've been there, and what has been stopping them, things like that. All of these things are going on. Yeah, and like all their background, will be better shown to players. We have a lot of very obscure obscure elements about the players, about each of the pirate lords. We don't want to restrict them to just the cutscenes there. We want to look at more ways. So maybe like as I mentioned, the enemy codex, things like that. We want to have more places where all their lore is properly exposed and revealed.
There was another question in the chat and in for collected questions as well, is about Vanderkill and Vikram as Easter eggs in year 2 season 1. So the question is, I'd love to see more of them. It was great. Is there anything coming for them?
Yes, there's a lot of Easter eggs that have been hidden throughout. So yes, there is
Yes or
more.
no?
Well, there is more. There's definitely more. But we're glad to see that players have been paying attention. So yes, the more they get found, the more we're gonna add.
I think for context, Sam is very careful about his answers because Alexa was like, do not overpromise anything. So he's like, yes. Okay. The next question is, will we be able to face Lucian Harrow this year? Yes or no? Maybe. Or no comment. Okay. We've actually, I think, left with 6 or 7 more questions from pre-collected ones. So, as I say, you can also drop your questions in the chat. We will have another section specifically to take questions
Yeah,
from
we
the chat.
we need to
But
know
now let's
like
wrap up
what's
with the
going on
pre-collected
with the
ones.
expanding of the
We
map.
could do it
Like,
in a very fast manner
when
if you
are we
want.
getting that?
So the first
For real,
question
for real.
is, could we see a new BTA faction as a result of their removal from the tutorial?
Yes, but in the future.
I think it would be good to give us the recipes for the event drinks or a natural way to obtain them without having to wait for an event. Is this being considered?
Yes, this is
Good
being
question.
considered.
Good question. Thank
Okay.
you. Good question.
I've noticed there's only
Oh,
one
man.
Glory Adorned convoy this season. Are there plans to add more? It is quite an interesting activity for both new and veteran players.
Yes.
Okay. A reward of the factory system and the helm is being considered. I don't think I'm the only one who feels that system is now outdated.
Yes, we definitely have seen that it's need of an overhaul, and especially with regards to how much of player fleets they're using right now. So we're looking, and we have a rework being done, but we'll share more details once the is ready. Yeah.
The treasure maps, we've touched on that. And the last question from pre-collected ones is, what do you see as your development priorities going forward for the rest of this year and beyond?
Okay. So as mentioned, for the rest of this year, we are focusing on what is one of the best parts of our game, which is naval combat. The being able to create different builds, different loadouts. So features will be done, mechanics will be reworked to support and focus down on this, alongside with a promise for more content where all of this will be used in. Right, there's no fun if we just have a lot of new ships and builds, but no enemies to fight. So as mentioned, S1 was a big overhaul with seasonal mastery and progression. But the good news is for the rest of the seasons, there's going to be a lot more content, like brand new content, never before seen enemies, new activity types coming in for all of the seasons after.
Gotcha. Okay, Sam, it's time to take some questions from the chat. I wonder were there any questions that were popping out during the stream that you wanted to mention before we dive into the current ones? I see a lot of questions regarding the map expansion, and I think we did address it during the developer AMA, right? A bit. But is there anything else you can give a context maybe to the community on map expansions?
There's so there's a few questions regarding, I mean, generally about the world that we have. One of them about rearranging locations of bosses and mini bosses. Actually, yes, we've been looking at it. In fact, we're also looking at things about do they need to be on certain world tiers? Like after that, should we move on to differentiate both the appearance of them between world tiers, where the difficulty, because the bosses is the difficulty of fighting a boss is more than just the SR level. For example, like Apak himself has
Exactly, the
a
answer's
specific
no.
very recognizable threat, right? So those are things that also set apart of these bosses. So we have been actually looking at modifying the world space, the change of locations as well, to make sure that they make sense, and when the fight takes place in that area,
Yeah.
does it
I think
cause
he knew
any
exactly what that
clashes with
person
other
was touching on when
activities,
it's talking about like
things
map
like that.
expansion.
Um,
We're not talking about moving the
especially
buses around.
in
We're
future
talking
seasons,
about
World Tier 4 will have a lot
the
more
area
activities
that's
coming on
grayed
as well.
out. When is that going to be
So
unlocked?
definitely
Like, come on.
locations of various bosses and activities will potentially change as well.
Mm-hmm. Um,
And oh yes, the map expansion
yes.
thing. We are looking into it, and we need to make sure that it's not just an opening up a space with more of the same things around. So it's beyond just a matter of just creating more space in the world. We are actually looking at why that space will be available. So when it's ready, it's definitely coming in. But
Oh
Yeah.
man.
I think it's also important to
Come
give a
on.
context to the community that there are a lot of things that we want to do, right? But the main priority is to make the core of the game.
I think the
be able to
core of the
combat
game. I don't think we're
better,
going through an
and then build
identity
up
crisis right now.
on that. Um, there were quite some questions regarding the bigger groups. Group size 6 soon. Is asking. Captain GTA is asking.
Yes, we are looking at the group size. But alongside with that, there's also the look at the gameplay activities, as well. Where we need to make sure that this is something that the player group size makes sense for. So, for example, the group size of 6 is definitely gonna help players being able to matchmake together into some of our activities where they need at least
To be
like
honest,
six
the
players to
group
be able to
size
fight them
increase only
properly,
benefits
or the
people
encounter is designed
that
around that.
stream and have big
So
communities.
we are looking into
Other than
both
that,
the activities that we
I don't
have,
think group size should even
in
be a
addition
thing of
to
focus.
just
It shouldn't be of
increasing the
no
group size
importance.
first.
It only helps out
all
like
of
content
this
creators.
is something that we're
That's
working
it.
on. I saw there was a point about us gatekeeping activities
All right.
behind world tiers. Yeah, like maybe we can understand
one.
more like what is the pain point behind some of the activities being gated, because we tried to put it in a way that makes sense with the natural progression of your builds and power progression, where you by the time you have unlocked it, that's also at the time you kind of need it. That's why we also did things to make sure that when you whatever you need for that world tier is available in the world tier. So maybe I can understand more of that and see how we can reduce, because as some of our chatters have already mentioned, we have to also try to manage the crowding of world tiers. It's a bit of a juggling act there. So yeah, I hope we can understand more about this, because our intention is definitely not to just gatekeep for the sake of gatekeeping or causing unhappiness. Yeah.
Someone was mentioning that. Did you see Memphis Jones did solo the Kraken? We need to let Alexi know, because I think
Yeah.
when we had a Kraken preview stream, he did promise something for if anyone can solo the Kraken, but I forgot. I need to rewatch the stream. But it is really impressive if someone did
Yeah.
solo the Kraken. Okay. Is there any? So we've left with around 3 to 5 minutes before we wrap up this stream. So it's either you can keep your questions coming, or what's your overall impression from year 3, season 1 with our year 3 plans? Let us know. There was a question, when is the next stream? The next stream we're planning around beginning of July, probably. Most likely. But stay tuned. We will announce it on our social media. Cheese next season, right? I think so. I think it is coming next season, if I'm not wrong. I think it was Cheese first and then Hippos, or the other way around, but I need to double check with John on this one. But yeah, it is coming. I love the skill Chi. I can't wait to be able to save my loadouts. Yes, season 2. Great so far. Looking forward. Anything? art contest results and in-game sales. If that's question about the art contest where we've had a community draw an emblem in the game, we have a winner, and the plan is to have that emblem in game by the end of the year. But heads up, we were also planning to do some contests, but more of a photo mode for the galleon. So stay tuned on our socials. End of next week. Let me see if there are any other questions that we can take before we wrap up this stream. Do you see any questions that you can take? A lot of, I don't know if it's the same person asking or it's a lot of people asking about the Black Flag Cosmetics. Stay tuned. This is all we can say.
I see some comments about the leaderboard. So that's actually one of our key focuses, and I think that'll be something that we'll share in the future. But one of the key changes that we are making is actually to not just change the leaderboards, but we actually want to have activity and content for players where the leaderboard is actually skill driven and not a grind, not just like the longer I spend, the higher I climb kind of situation. Yeah.
We need more inventory space and 3 exclamation marks.
I mean, we definitely are looking into inventory space, but we are also looking into it via ways to streamline, to help players not need to have so much clutter in the inventory as well. So it's both levers are being worked on, the space itself as well as reducing unnecessary requirement to keep clutter in the warehouse. What happened to the regattas? Yes, regattas.
I think it's coming back every stream.
Yes, maybe we can have a poll. I mean, yes, regatta is one of my babies, so I also want it back. But we have a bit of fix that we need to do on the back end to make sure. In fact, I really wanted to have a combat regatta even. I mean, what's more fun than racing? How about racing when we're fighting each other?
There were a couple of questions regarding the difficulty of Megafort. I think it's more about scaling the difficulty, right? Oh, the Megafort.
Yes, scaling the difficulty.
Yes.
As well as cause we at first we also there was feedback where there was an issue where the Megafort being the only source of deep iron, that's why players play a lot. So we also address by making the availability of deep iron more, and then now after at least we smoothed out the deep iron availability, then we want to look more into if we have a harder Megafort, what should it be, right? We don't want to just scale up the numbers. I don't think that will be a meaningful change in experience for players, just to have bigger numbers. It's gonna take a while.
Many of us love your regatta, Samuel. We would like to enjoy them again.
Thank you.
We take a screenshot and then show it to the team. Okay. I think before we wrap up, also one of when we announced our plans for the year 3, I think one of the major feedback that we got is compared to the year 2 roadmap that we were very ambitious with, right? The community was like, is that it? Is there new content coming, right? So we did talk about Abyss a bit, but if you can give any details on that without spoiling too much.
So the Abyss is not just any singular content. Is actually a new segment of content that will start making its appearance from S2 onwards. Players can start to see what the Abyss is all about, and it's a theme. it's both a theme as well as a whole new group of activities. What I can say at least is that there will be new enemy types that will challenge them even more, where the whole focus of the naval combat mastery comes into place. And we have a lot of exciting stuff there, both in terms of the activity and content that they play, as well as new rewards that players can also get from engaging with the Abyss.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Is it Abyssus or is it Abyssai? Okay, Abyssus.
Abyss. All right. I think it's also important thing to note and to give a
Yeah,
context
we were
to the
spamming that in the
community is
chat.
that so year two
I brought
roadmap
it
was very
up. I said
ambitious.
World Tier 4
We'll be
Woman
honest,
Hall,
we weren't
please.
able to deliver
LOL.
on all of things that
And then
we
everybody
announced with the
starts
year two
spamming it.
roadmap, right? With our year two roadmap, if you've seen our year two roadmap, we did announce year two season one content, and for the rest, we said it's in the development, right? So to give a context, our year two roadmap is still very pretty much flexible, right? It will
Yep.
go along with what is the community feedback. So if there is something that needs a priority and needs to bring back, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll not. So it's I think we've learned from the year two that we will need to stay flexible and rather focus on the core gameplay of Skull and Bones. So we hope the feedback coming so we can shape the game together in a better direction that everyone can enjoy. But I think we can wrap up this stream. It was one of the less nervous streams that I've had in a while because I think before we had a showcase stream and way before it was year two review stream. It was very like high
Yeah.
stakes internally streams.
I think what we really learned and sank into is year three, how we're going ahead is we want to be more have more communication and sharing with everyone, because it's both our community and developers that make a game. So we want to understand what are the issues, what is being needed, and then we can while we also have our own plan for it. Is we are not going through this and just be saying that, oh, we have no plan, we'll just follow whatever comes down. But it's about communicating and understanding, because we do have a vision for the game. As you mentioned, year two was overly ambitious in some ways. But that's not to say that those while they didn't make it into year two, means that we disregarded them, because there are players who genuinely were excited and hyped for those content. We are as well. But at the same time, I think one of the key problems we had with our game is always that we try to overreach too much and we end up being very very broad. But
They
there's
gotta
no
do
depth
something
in
with the treasure
anything.
maps because
So
it's
we
just.
so the parts
it's-
that
I mean,
players
what's
enjoy
the
a lot
point
more that
to
we are really
having
strong
them?
at.
And they
we want
already
to make sure
alluded
that we
to
prepare enough depth, enough
us being able
content
to delete it
for everyone
at sea
before we
instead of
start
just
getting
dumping it.
sidetracked and things like that. It should be a growing game and not just a growing checklist of a game. Yeah.
They start
Yeah.
nerfing ships, I'm out.
All right.
I mean,
think it's
hopefully
time
they
for us
buff
to
the
wrap
damn
up this
ships.
stream.
Because the
I hope
Brigantine
you've
on
enjoyed
World Tier
this,
4, yeah,
an
forget
hour-long
about it.
stream.
You
Is
get one tap for sure.
Copy build. Yes, we're looking into a QL for being able to share and copy builds, but yes, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Okay. I hope Alexi won't scold us that we've overpromised the stream. I really hope. I think maybe he's watching. He's like, oh no. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, for watching this stream, for staying up late. I hope your drops work. You've enjoyed this hour. Neo, sorry we didn't interact much with you. We were very into the questions. How did you find your stream today?
I love it. I love the build. I love the season. I love the mastery tree. Just good job.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Any last message you want to share, Sam, before we wrap up?
Share more builds.
Shimmer builds.
Share more builds.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining again, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, what do we think? I mean, it was all right, honestly. I mean, like Stank was saying, like kind of like doing the double questioning type thing, kind of like going around the questions that are being asked. And I do understand, like, they're trying not to give away like everything, you know, or whatever they're working on, because they may be working on something and they may get scrapped out. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, bruh, World Tier 4 Wolvenhall. That's just kind of like what I was saying in my video. It was kind of like, right now with the fixes and stuff like that in World Tier 4, and you're still getting around the same amount of rewards for sinking a ship or doing an event, there is no difference. The only difference is that it takes longer to sink that ship. So what is stopping me from going to World Tier 3 and just bulldozing my way and just getting the same rewards anyway? Like, even if they lower the rank, join fights with others, and you still, yeah, exactly. So I mean, right now they're kind of like in this limbo of, we have to fix the existing problems before we can even address like these questions that are being asked of us, because we know on the back end, to what the public doesn't see, we see all these problems and we have to fix this first. So we're kind of like just going live telling you, hey, there's a lot of problems that we need to fix, and until these problems are fixed, then these questions that you guys are asking us, then we can look at it. I mean, we're looking at it, but it's not the priority right now because we have to fix all these other problems. And then again, like, you know, when you go to World Tier 4 or anything like that, that's all you see is galleons. There's nobody really using other ships, galleons and frigates. So, I mean, it was already asked, like, hey, aren't you going to do something with the other ships to scale it to where I can use a brigantine or I can use a sandbuck in World Tier 4 and not get two tapped? Like, can you do something for us, please? But again, they gotta fix other problems before they even get to that. It probably won't be until like season 3. Hopefully it'll, you know, be sooner. But yeah, names of the different location, exactly. That was kind of like when it was saying like, hey, are we gonna expand the map? And it was kind of like, well, we're looking at moving the bosses around the map so it's not in the same spot. That's not what the question was. The question is that the spot that is grayed out, when are you going to give that to us? Then it's kind of like, oh, well, we have to have a reason on why we're opening up that space. We have to kind of like, we just don't want to open up that space and it be nothing there. But it kind of already feels crowded in a way to where you got all the sea monsters and stuff like that crowded. There's really nothing in the East Indies. There's only about like couple of bosses. Everything else is like in the Saint Anne area, and then above on like close to the coast of Africa. You could open that up, or just say, hey, we're waiting until like the next content of bosses and events. Once we get that going, and once we're done with that, then we'll open it up. Just say we're working on things to kind of like have more reason to have more space, but like right now we're working on it. Like, it's stay tuned, kind of like how they've been saying it. Stay tuned. We're working on it. We haven't forgot about it. We're working on it. That gives kind of like people saying like, okay, yeah, they didn't address it, but they're saying that, hey, they're working on something so they can open up that space. So, which, you know, I hope it works out. But again, I think I'm gonna do a whole video on this. Like, I'm gonna go into the questions of like the things that are being asked, and then how they reply to it, and then pause the video and then go over it. So it might be a long video. I don't know how like I'm gonna edit it. I don't think it's gonna be too much editing, but I don't know. We'll see. Thank you guys for tuning in, though. Appreciate it. Make sure you go to their well, it's over now because they had drops. But I am gonna put all their description and stuff like that because I didn't do it now, so I got to do that. But again, I'll see you guys tomorrow around the time we stream around like 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10:30 a.m. Uh, what is it? GM 7 time? Because I live in Arizona, so Arizona doesn't follow daylight savings times or anything like that. So appreciate you guys, and we'll see you later. Peace out. Good night.